What's up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo's The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 11, full breakdown and review. And we are still maintaining proper social distancing. This is the way.
This is the way.
And remember, there will be spoilers.
And remember, if you like what we do here, subscribe to our channel and give this video a like.
And hey, you know what? Share it with your friends, too. They'll love it.
Episode 11, Shattered. And once again, this episode opens with a Lucasfilm Limited production card, followed by the red variation of the logo, and then the title of the episode, Part 3, Shattered. You know, a new theme is playing during the intro. There's no newsreel and no moral. The Siege of Mandalore is over, and Republic forces are taking Gar Saxon into custody as Bo-Katan watches on. A gunship lands nearby, and the hatch opens, revealing Ahsoka with Maul bound behind her. Bo-Katan tells Ahsoka she is impressed that she managed to capture Maul, and Ahsoka replies it's what the council wanted, saying
I
that
like how she says that, though. It's kind of like almost a snarky tone in her voice. Well, it's what the council wanted.
No, very true. Saying that she has succeeded where so many have failed, and I thought that was kind of a jab at Obi-Wan for some reason, but it probably wasn't. I don't think she was throwing shade.
I don't know. That's how I took it too.
Oh, okay.
He didn't go out with her sister, man.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right. And he saw her. Yeah, he didn't save her. So yeah, maybe it was some shade. You know, Ahsoka says she learned a lot from her, and you know, Bo-Katan says she wishes she was good at something other than war. And then they look down at the wreckage, you know, on Mandalore, and it was just everything was destroyed. You know, Ahsoka suggests that the Mandalorians need a new kind of leader. And Bo-Katan's like, her sister tried that, but she never understood. You know, Bo-Katan never understood her sister's idealism.
And we know from, you know, the Mandalorian, obviously, she doesn't stick to that peaceful idealism. And in fact, they probably get even more warlike, and it basically becomes their religion.
And they become a threat to the Empire because we know the Night of 1,000 Tears happens. So we know the Empire does go in and destroy. So yeah, her being warlike, and I wonder if that was a kind of a hint at what's to come in The Mandalorian or why the Empire did. That's a good catch. I never thought of it that way. You know, Rex approaches saying that the Jedi Council is waiting to speak to Ahsoka, and she asks if he was able to contact Anakin. And he says he was in the meeting when they asked for her, and, you know, Bo-Katan says, go get it. I can, you know, I got this.
So this is a direct line right to Revenge of the Sith, where we actually see this meeting taking place before he comes and gets Ahsoka, when you know, Anakin and Master Yoda and some of the other Jedi Council members were all there, and they were talking about you know, Palpatine and everything. So yeah, this is again just another from another point of view with with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, from another part of the galaxy.
They've been doing a really good job of intersecting items in this and what's going on in the movie. But, you know, they're on board a transport ship and a hologram of the council members. We see Mace, Ki-Adi Mundi, and Yoda discussing the situation. Mace Windu tells the others that he senses a plot to destroy the Jedi and that the dark side of the Force is surrounding the Chancellor. And Mundi says now that Grievous has been destroyed, Palpatine must give up his emergency powers and be removed from office. And Mace replies that the Jedi, you know, will have to take control of the Galactic Senate to ensure a peaceful transition, which sounds very un-Jedi-like. You know, I think it was very well done on the Emperor's part to kind of force that at this point, because people aren't going to see that. Oh, well, why are the Jedi suddenly needing to rule after this war?
So I was thinking about that, and there's actually a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith where several of the Senate members, including Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, they're all kind of sitting around, and it turns out these are basically all of the senators that become part of the rebellion later on. But they're actually meeting when Palpatine announces that he's going to be, you know, taking on even more emergency powers, and they're all talking about what they're going to do about it, and if they need to let the Jedi know. And Bail Organa actually suggests, well, maybe as senators, we should take care of this before we involve the Jedi, because we don't want them to have to take control of the Senate when senators should be taking control.
Oh, that would have been a good scene. I wish I've never
Mhm.
seen that. That would have made.
Yeah, if you go to Disney Plus and you go to Revenge of the Sith, you can watch all those deleted scenes. They're from the DVD.
Oh, nice. So then Ahsoka and Rex enter, and Ahsoka confirms that they've captured Maul, and she's going to escort Rex, to Coruscant. Yoda congratulates her on the service, and Ahsoka replies that she did her duty as a Republic citizen, and he not as a Jedi. And Ahsoka tells him, no, not yet. She asks if she can speak to Anakin, and is told he is informing the Chancellor of Grievous's defeat, and Obi-Wan is engaging the enemy. Ahsoka muses the war could be over soon, and Mace replies that it depends on the Chancellor. She asks what that means, and he says these are matters for the Council to discuss. Ahsoka says she understands, and the Council members leave except for Yoda, who remains and asks if she has a message for Skywalker. Ahsoka pauses and says she'll tell him herself when she sees him, and they leave the ship, and Rex kind of asks her, why didn't you talk about Maul's prophecy regarding Skywalker? Which I don't know if it was she didn't want to bring any heat from the Jedi onto Anakin, or if she still doesn't believe what Maul said.
So if we look at it,
Maul because he's Maul, and she doesn't want to pass on any bad information. And plus, like one thing I thought you were going to mention at the end there of the meeting was that Yoda did call her a Padawan again, and that was kind of cool because it kind of shows like he feels for her, he knows her situation. He still feels that she can be a Jedi, and that.
Well, she even said when he said not as a Jedi, and she said no, not yet. And I think he took that as her saying I'm still a Padawan, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think we can look at it at 2 points of view. Dave kind of mentioned, so like from an in-universe view, we can look at it as, Ahsoka probably maybe part of her, she still doesn't believe Maul, because that was what got them to fight to begin with, was the fact that he brought up, Anakin is going to become the Sith Lord's new apprentice. She didn't believe him. So yes, I think that's mostly what it is. Like, I'm not going to bother telling Master Yoda about this. It's probably not even true. But if we think about it from like an out of universe view, it's so the movie can happen. I mean, if she would have told him, obviously, it kind of negates Revenge of the Sith.
That's very true. That's a good point. Then we see Bo-Katan and Ursula Wren escorting Maul encased in a force-proof capsule to the transport. Ahsoka is impressed at the device, saying she doubts even Maul could escape, which Bo-Katan says it's a relic of a bygone era when, my favorite line of the episode, when the Mandalorians had reason to imprison force-wielding maniacs.
Yeah, I know. I love that. That was a great line. And did you guys get a good look at the device? Like, so later on, obviously, Maul is going to get out. I think we all know that's going to happen. Spoilers, whatever. But did you guys get a good look at this device? It actually has the imprint of a person, like within the circuit boards and everything. So I don't know exactly what it's supposed to do, or and I honestly I don't remember ever seeing anything like this in previous episodes of the Clone Wars. So, but from what I guess it can negate force power somehow.
Yeah, I looked at it and I saw it. I looked at it like carbonite. That's what it looked like to me.
Well, no, I did the same when I first saw it. It looked like the carbonite encasing, but it did look, his hands were tied, and it did look like maybe it had some things, whether he was maybe being drugged to suppress the force powers or something else. Maybe when his arms being twisted behind his back or something's going on, so he's feeling pain, so he can't focus on the force. But enclosed in a Mandalorian capsule, Maul is watching as Ahsoka talks to Rex. The transport lands in a Star Destroyer, and the clone troopers escort the capsule to his detention cell. The clone officers are saluting Ahsoka as she walks onto the bridge, and the ship jumps into hyperspace. And Ahsoka is kind of staring out into hyperspace, deep in thought. And Rex asks what's on her mind. She says that she was trained as a Jedi to be a keeper of the peace, not a soldier. But since she was a Padawan, she has only been a soldier. Rex says that he also, has known nothing but war, but without the Clone Wars, the clones wouldn't exist.
So I kind of, I thought the scene was interesting because it was very quiet. There really wasn't any music playing. It was just kind of, Ahsoka staring off into the distance, like as they're going through hyperspace and everything. And we know that she does not know what's about to happen. We know that she's not aware of, what's about to take place. But it's almost like she's got a heavy heart, and she sort of nods in a way almost like it's a signal to the audience, because we know what's going to happen. So it's almost like it's letting you know this is about to be it's about to go down. It's going to be a serious moment.
It was like a nice quiet moment, but the tension was behind it because we all know what's coming at some point. We just don't know when exactly it's coming. But
I felt it when she was walking through and they were all saluting her, and you recognize, back then they wouldn't have recognized, but you recognize that that's the Imperial uniform and that's the Imperial ship, So I felt when she was walking through there, it was kind of unusual, but then you could feel it, as she got closer to the window, the tension built. And especially that last conversation when Rex gets the transmission and he's going to leave and go to the other room. That felt like that was just, here it is.
Yeah. Ahsoka is telling him that at least some good has come out of the war. And that's when an officer tells Rex that he's needed for a briefing. He's like, hey, you want to come and listen in? And she declines, which is probably good. And him telling her it's probably more good news. Rex salutes and enters the briefing room. And then, we go back to Maul's cell, and his eyes open. And he hears in his head the voices of Palpatine, Mace, and Anakin as the duel in Palpatine's office. And that was actually Samuel L. Jackson,
Yep.
Ian McDermott, and Hayden Christensen's voices. And Ahsoka also feels that disturbance in the Force and whispers Anakin. In the briefing room, Rex watches a hologram of Darth Sidious, who intones, "Execute Order 66."
So I've always had questions about this, So obviously we see this also in Revenge of the Sith, where he actually has to physically call them on, their holophone or whatever, and, say to whatever commanding clone, hey, execute Order 66, kill all the Jedi for treason. But he only ever seems to tell one clone, and then that commanding clone tells all of the other clones underneath them. And then they just do it without questioning it. So, I mean, I know the chip is what causes them to do this, but it almost makes me wonder, was the call even necessary? Or does he have some sort of, Star Wars version of a computer network where he, okay, execute Order 66, activate the chips? Like, I always wondered how that actually functioned, how that worked.
I always thought it was a local activation of the chip.
Words that he uses. Yeah, I think it's the actual words, or execute Order 66, and it boom.
But what if a clone hadn't heard it?
What's that? No, you didn't have to hear it from him. He just has to hear those words.
Oh.
That's my guess.
I mean, that's certainly possible, but I think there were some clones that maybe didn't hear it. And it could be like a LAN, a local area network, where maybe how they communicate, and they just click something and it sends out something to the chip to, start hunting down any Force-sensitive people. Rex says, yes, Lord Sidious, and Ahsoka enters, saying she feels something terrible has happened to Anakin. Rex is standing there shaking. He drops his helmet, and the other troopers on the bridge receive a message, turn around, training their rifles on Ahsoka, and Rex tells them that he'll do it, drawing his pistols on Ahsoka and telling her to stay back. He tells Ahsoka to find Fives and then opens fire. Ahsoka,
which we know from season 2 that Fives was the clone who was actually first looking into the whole idea of the chip and was trying to save which clone was it that was actually going under that had the chip removed? But yeah, they were on Camino when that original took place.
I think that was season 6. And wasn't Fives the one?
You know what? You're right. I think it was season 6.
And I think Fives had the malfunctioning chip, and Rex was there with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, Ahsoka leaps over him, drawing her lightsabers and sealing the door, but more troopers enter from the other side. They surround Ahsoka and they're firing at her, but she deflects the blaster bolts into the ceiling and leaps through the hole. Rex orders two troopers to proceed to the detention level and execute Maul, and tells the others that the Jedi have been marked for termination for treason against the Republic, and that any soldier who does not comply with the order to execute the Jedi will also be executed for treason. He orders the troopers to search the ship for Ahsoka. Maul watches as the 2 clone troopers enters his cell and open the capsule, and as they raise their rifles, Ahsoka enters and incapacitates them, releasing Maul and telling him not to make her regret this. Maul's impressed that she has survived, but denies any involvement, saying he was not privy to his master's plan. But they have both felt what has happened through the Force, and Sidious has turned the Jedi's own army against them. He says she has done the right thing coming to him, but she says, "I'm not here to team up with you. All I need is a distraction." And
so a couple of things. First off, I like how Ahsoka, even under the threat of death, she doesn't kill the clones. She only incapacitates them because, I mean, they're still her friends, and she still respects them, cares for them. And I also like that Maul, even though he's in danger, he could die, he's still impressed. Like, so this is how he decided to do it. Because he, like you said, he didn't know how Order 66. He didn't know how the Jedi were going to be taken out, but he's like, wow, so he caused their own clone troopers to turn against them, and he's like impressed. He's like, oh, this is cool. I might die, but this is cool.
Man, he was a genius. And the clones report to Rex that they have swept the detention area, and both Ahsoka and Maul have escaped. Rex orders them to destroy the escape pods and secure the hangar decks to prevent their escape. Ahsoka is kind of sneaking past the clones and enters this droid room, and she activates a couple of them and asks R7 to patch into the Republic central computer and retrieve any files on Clone Trooper CT-5555. The files contain medical records and a hologram of a Kamonian medical scientist stating that a defect had been found in the trooper and that the findings had been accepted by the Jedi Council and the Senate, but that a grievance report had been logged in by CT-7567. And she uses Anakin's password, 8108, which, just so you know, was the release date of the Clone Wars, 8/10/2008, which I thought was a nice little Easter egg they threw in there.
I was wondering what that was.
I had to look it up.
So obviously that passcode still works since he's Darth Vader now, right?
Yes. Well, he just turned. They didn't have time to change his password. The younglings were in charge of the IT stuff, so unfortunately,
didn't take his email offline or anything yet.
As she's decrypting the report, she's watching as Rex voices his suspicion about the control chip placed in the clones by the Kamonians. So, and what was the best scene of this entire episode, Maul is in the hallways with fighting clones, who he's ripping panels from the bulkhead to shield himself in blaster fire, and then he's just crushing and decapitating all the troopers. The troopers report to Rex that Ridge is down and Maul is headed towards the main hangar. Rex orders them to close the blast door, which they do, though Maul pulls that one trooper's arm through, severing it, which we thought was going to happen in that Mandalorian.
Yeah,
that was absolutely genius. I love it. Again, this is a kid's cartoon, right?
They definitely, as much as Maul has been an amazing character in this, he's not a good guy. I mean, he hates the Emperor, not because he's evil or he wants to do the right thing, because he was cast aside and no longer part of his plans. And they really showed that well, just cutting that clone's arm off just because they were closing the door and he was like pissed about it. It was just perfect. Then we see Rex running down the corridor, and that R7 unit rolls up in front of him, separating him from the squad. And one of the other robots or one of the other droids, closes the blast doors around him, and R7 activates a hologram of Ahsoka, who says she saw his report on fives, and she knows he was programmed to turn against the Jedi. Then Ahsoka appears behind Rex, and as he turns around, the R7 shocks him, knocking him out, and Ahsoka and the droids carry Rex to the medical bay, sealing the doors behind them. Medical droids runs a scan, finds no anomalies, so Ahsoka kind of takes Rex, and she starts, reciting the Guardian mantra, "I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me."
which is pretty cool. I like that. Kind of made me think of Rogue One.
Yeah, and if she had maybe some, Jedi training that the Guardians that we saw in Rogue One had, and that's where that mantra comes from. I liked it. It was another shout out to another movie. It's just kind of bringing everything together.
It really does. It does tie the whole universe together. I like that.
Then finally the scan detects the chip, and R7 sends Rex into the surgery chamber, and the clones manage to manually override the door, and Ahsoka draws her lightsabers and deflects, all their blaster fire as they're just opening fire on her. And Rex recovers, draws his pistols, and he opens fire on the clones as the droid reseals the doors. He tells Ahsoka he is okay, and that the entire Grand Army of the Republic has turned against the Jedi. Him and Ahsoka turn to the door as the clone troopers begin cutting through. And that's where the episode ends, which...
Yep, I like no music, just straight to credits. It's showing the deep seriousness of the scene. Overall, so far, I was talking about this with you guys before we started filming. I think this Clone Wars, overall, when you look back on it, it's really been the story of Ahsoka and Maul, and their character development throughout the 7 seasons has just been incredible. I thought Maul had a better story, more in-depth story in here than even maybe Darth Vader.
No, he definitely did. And, they do such a good job of kind of wrapping everything up. They do nice little, call outs to other movies and other things, even to their own series. Having Fives be the reason that Ahsoka was able to save herself and Rex, calling on from, season 6 was just so well done. It was, made sense. It was nice that he was in control of himself enough. He couldn't control it. He had to fire at her, but he was enough to get her a clue so she could figure out what was wrong and save Rex. And that was really well done. Now, we did say this was going to be a breakdown and review. So, Doug, why don't you kick us off? What did you think of this episode?
So I enjoyed this episode for a number of different reasons. Overall, it was a little bit slower than the other ones. It wasn't as action-packed. But I think of it very similar to the episode of The Mandalorian where they are on that prison ship, where it's kind of like a different feel, where they have quiet moments. It's almost set up like it's like a scary kind of episode. We all know, like I said before, we all know what's coming. We all know what's going to happen, and that does make it a little bit difficult for this episode. Already knowing what's going to happen. But if you think about it, we all know how Star Wars ends anyway. So, but I enjoyed the quiet parts of the episode. I enjoyed the sort of feeling of dread that it gave us, and I think the way that they tied it to Revenge of the Sith and also to other parts of Star Wars lore, I enjoyed that. So I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. It was a little bit slower than the other episodes, but it fits in neatly with this this being part 3 of this arc. To me, it ties in very neatly, and I thought it was done very well. I absolutely loved those, like I said, those moments of dread and sort of like that heavy feeling that it gives you because you know what's about to happen, and it was cool. I thought it was well done.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking about the whole Ahsoka line and that, how she's expecting the Clone Wars to be over and it to be good times after all this. They've got Maul captured. The Clone Wars are ending. On other worlds, she's going to go talk to Anakin. This is going to be fine. And it all just gets swept out from under her, And Maul is kind of relieved about this, seems like. And, that he was actually right. He knew something was coming, but he knows he can flourish, like he said, flourish in the chaos that is to come. And I don't know. Overall, I give it an 8. It's not as good as the last 2 episodes. The last one was just amazing. I mean, where can you go from that? So I'd say about an 8.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I agree with Dave. Not on the same level as the first 2 episodes of this arc, but it was still good. They had a lot of references to Revenge of the Sith and even Rogue One. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. The actual audio from Revenge of the Sith with, Palpatine, Mace, and Anakin. And then, sort of that Maul's hallway scene was very reminiscent of Vader's from Rogue One. So, it was really nice. The animation still absolutely top notch through all of this. And, the way they handled, I think Doug kind of hinted at this, the way they handled the build up to Order 66 was really good. I mean, there was real tension you could feel in all of those scenes, knowing what's going to happen, from the beginning of the episode all the way until Rex got the call. But I also think, knowing that both Ahsoka and Rex survive kind of took away a little bit of that scene when Rex gets his chip removed. But I know it was necessary for the show, and, it was good. But we still have a few unanswered questions. How do Maul and Ahsoka get off the Star Destroyer? Or do they land on Coruscant and escape from there? So there's a lot going. And I think this episode, when you see it as part of the entire arc, it's going to be a lot better than seeing it as a single episode. So, right now I'm going to give it a 7.9 out of 10. But I think once everything's together and we can see this as, an arc instead of 4 episodes, it's definitely going to be an essential part of it. But what did all of you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Did you see anything different we did? Did you enjoy it?
The one thing this episode is missing, I think you guys will agree with me, there wasn't any Jar Jar.
Yes, thank God.
Well, next episode, we do find out that the real Sith Lord is Darth Jar Jar. And there's going to be an epic battle between Maul, Darth Jar Jar, and Darth Sidious. So it's going to be amazing to see.
Jar Jar.
So definitely keep your eyes peeled. We're going to have a special episode around Monday or Tuesday for May the 4th. May the 4th be with you guys. And so we're going to be able to see the final conclusion of the Clone Wars series. This is it.
Yeah, we don't have long to wait. We only got 3 days until this next episode comes out. So if you're already if it's already past May 4th, 2020, go watch the final episode, then come back and watch our breakdown and review of it. Thanks, everybody.